So Donald Trump posting a message on Truth Social today saying that those letters to the so-called Liberation Day tariff countries, more than 100 countries, will be sent out today. He says they're going to make public either the letters or the deals that they've struck with these other countries. Donald Trump has put a lot of pressure on himself, really, to bring home these trade deals. He's talked about over 200 countries have expressed interest in forming some kind of trade agreement with the United States, but it's looking like the numbers aren't matching the expectations there. So we think about 90 countries are going to get letters. Somewhere between 90 and 100 countries are going to get letters starting today throughout the week telling them what the tariff rate is going to be. Now, you remember back at the beginning of April, the so-called Liberation Day, where Trump had that press conference in the Rose Garden behind the White House, where he had those charts showing each country what the tariff rate was going to be for them. That started a period of back and forth negotiations. He backed off on some of the tariffs. Some of the countries that he imposed tariffs on don't even do any trade. In fact, there's one country that he imposed the tariffs on is not populated by anything except penguins. So I don't think they're going to be getting a letter today. However, this negotiation is still going on between Canada and the U.S. Mark Carney is actually, according to his office, is on kind of a staycation this week. And I think the idea here is that he's going to take some time off. This is probably a good time to do it because Trump and the White House are really going to be engaged with these other countries, these Liberation Day countries. But this negotiation apparently still going on. You remember 2 weeks ago, it was called off suddenly because Donald Trump was unhappy with Canada's plan to proceed with imposing the digital services tax on big internet giants like Amazon, Netflix, Meta, Google, that would have to require them to pay 3% of their revenues earned in Canada back to the Canadian government. The Carney government decided they were going to scrap that at the last minute, even though this is something that had been approved by Parliament several years ago. It was only set to go into force and start collecting them last Monday. So Carney kind of climbing down there, all because they want to keep this negotiation going. And while these other countries, these Liberation Day tariff countries, are working towards a July 9th deadline, that's when Trump says they have to have agreements in place or the tariff rate will be imposed beginning August 1st. That's the date where those tariffs will kick in. Canada working on a different deadline towards the July 21st. That's the date that Carney and Trump both agreed when they met at the G7 in Kananaskis to conclude their ongoing negotiation. The objective here for the Canadian side, complete removal of all the Trump-imposed tariffs on sort of general products, as well as those targeting the auto sector and the steel and aluminum sectors as well. Canada wants to get all those lifted, and we don't know, though, what this is going to actually result in. Will it be an update, an amendment, a new refresh of the USMCA, which, of course, had replaced the old NAFTA agreement, which itself had replaced the Canada-U.S. free trade agreement struck back in the 1980s. So we're going to see whether or not they can meet this deadline.